Evening all. Well, Benjamin Franklin once said there are only two certainties in life. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and free broadband won't be free. Yes, I want to begin with this Labour election manifesto pledge that they are going to nationalise all the internet service providers in the United Kingdom and provide what they call free broadband to the entire country, leaving no space unconnected. Well, there's the big problem about this idea, and that is it won't be free. It could never be free because it's paid for out of taxpayers' money. You know this, I know this, everybody knows this, right? Right? Well, apparently not all. The pointless co-host Richard Osman doesn't understand that it comes out of taxation. But our friends over at Novara Media, those grifters, Aaron Bastani and Ash Sarkar, just said, it'll be like the roads. You know, they're free to use. No, they're not. You pay for road construction and road maintenance with your tax money. Sometimes you have to pay to go on roads. People living in London, for example, or certain toll roads in the United Kingdom, you have to pay. You have to pay. It's just that simple. But they're trying to con you. Because at the end of the day, Novara Media are grifters. They're common people. They're trying to sell you Marx branded T-shirts and mugs. So they're trying to con people with the idea that everybody's going to get free broadband. Now, Aaron Bastani kind of set himself a trap on Twitter because he said, well, where I live, you know, my work requires fast broadband, and I'm just not getting it here in North Norfolk. Well, if the internet service providers were all nationalised and it was the government or some government department running internet connects, trying to connect everybody up to fast broadband, what makes him think that they're going to prioritise North Norfolk, particularly if North Norfolk doesn't return a Labour Member of Parliament? This is how the cronyism works. Why is the media centre, the BBC Media Centre up in Salford? It's because that was Jack Straw's old constituency. Jack Straw did some favours for Tony Blair, getting Tony Blair elected to number 10. So Jack Straw's constituency gets a kickback in the form of a vastly overpriced and out of the way media centre that people don't particularly like working at. So why does he think some government department for the internet is going to say, you know what, North Norfolk needs this? No, it's going to, the broadband, when it's nationalised, which we will all pay for, will go to various Labour sinkholes to kind of bribe them to remain Labour. It's, you know, people in Cornwall or Norfolk or in the Hebrides aren't going to get this fast broadband. And the government is pledging this. You know, well, Labour is pledging that if they're in the government, they are going to provide this fast broadband right at the point where we're going to get a 5G network. And broadband will be just irrelevant. But, you know, the worry is, will this sway voters? Well, it swayed some people. It swayed the bourgeois ponces in London. You know, the chattering classes, they're all swayed by it. They've already got broadband. What are they talking about? But in the working class heartlands across the country, nah, it's not having an effect. The polling difference is still right across the board. Conservatives are still well out in front. But maybe the progressive parties can change tack. You know, what's needed is a zinger of an election campaign. So let's see what they've got. Well, if you're going to Labour for election adverts, I think this is some of the worst election adverts I've ever seen. It's not just that they're bad messages in the adverts, that they are so sloppy, they are unprofessional. And I speak as a filmmaker. I know a slick bit of filmmaking when I see one. And Labour's or Momentum's Batman versus the Joker advert, and the boo to the billionaire who wants to keep the migrant out adverts. They are badly made. It's unprofessionally made. Now, here's the thing. I remember back in 1992, the general election back then, which the Conservatives under John Major won. People mocked the advert that was done where John Major's riding around in a car going around Brixton where he grew up, and he goes, "It's there. My house is there. The house I grew up in, it's still there." And people mocked that for the content, but the thing is that there was an element of professionalism about that advert, even though it was trying to get Major relaxed and off the cuff and looking like a normal bloke. But the thing is, that was directed by the very successful British filmmaker John Schlesinger, the man who did Midnight Cowboy and Billy Liar. Did he do Loneliness and Long Distance Run? I think off the top of my head. But anyway, this guy is a seasoned pro. Well, he's dead. But that was the difference. The kind of even though you think the message might be cheesy, there's an element of professionalism about the way that advert was made, and other political adverts have been made. And let's look at the Batman versus Joker one. Why does Batman need a bat yacht to fight crime? Why does he need a Batmobile to fight crime? Why does he need a Batcave to fight crime? Okay, this is everything. All the gadgets Batman has. It's not about his luxury. The funny thing is about Batman, when you have a look at Bruce Wayne's life, right, is that he makes lots of money from his company, and they all go into these good causes. He supports orphanages and charities and things like that, and most of his wealth doesn't really go. He maintains the kind of Wayne Manor. It's most of the stuff he's inherited anyway, just to make himself kind of comfortable. But he dedicates all his time to fighting crime. And some people argue if Batman wasn't there, you wouldn't have all these supervillains about. That's a fallacious argument. The villains were kind of there first. It's prompted. Batman doesn't say, you know what, I'm going to fight crime, but there's no crime, Batman. No. I'm just going to do it anyway. He became Batman because there was rampant crime in the first place, and by these kind of freaky theme villains. But we're being asked in this advert to support the Joker. Funny enough, I thought the left hated the Joker. They hated the Joker movie, thought it was an incel movie, but now we're supposed to root for the incel. Why does he need a bat yacht? It's not for his own comfort. None of Batman's gadgets are for his own comfort. They're there to fight crime. Okay, but we know the left just hate charity, and this is the thing, that the joined up connected thinking of the left, which I keep mentioning every so often on the show, that you've got to be aware of. They kind of have a Bush telegraph system. So somebody tweets out, some blue check mark on Twitter tweets out that charity is bad, billionaires giving money to charity is bad, and then that ripples just within days back to the Momentum and the Labour Party in the United Kingdom saying the same message. They're all connected. They all listen out for each other, right? And whatever the buzzwords and the buzz phrases and the talking points are on the left, it disseminates extremely quickly. You've got to realise that when dealing with the left. A bizarre thing that a blue check mark will say today will be official policy of a left-wing party within 48 hours. Okay, so you've got to understand that when it comes time to talking tactics. So then, speaking of billionaires, they did that advert about there's this man with a beard, the most unconvincing billionaire or millionaire or privileged white person on a stage, and he's against immigration, and these immigrants, like, they're so wonderful. No, I suspect a lot of them are. That's not the issue, though, is it? It's all about uncontrolled borders, illegal immigration, a lack of social cohesion. But that's not what Labour wants you to believe. Likewise, Plaid Cymru. So Plaid Cymru is trying to, the Welsh Nationalist Party. Welsh Nationalist Party. And what better way to symbolise Welsh nationalism, pride in Welsh culture, the Welsh standing up and saying, we can be an independent nation. Why not put a Muslim woman in a full burqa, full burqa, as the poster girl for their campaign for Welsh independence. I thought this was about culture. One of the reasons why Scotland and Wales and back in the day Ireland wanted independence was that culturally they were their own thing. They needed culturally to stand on their own feet in the world. So, right, if that was the face of, I don't know, the West Bank of Palestine should be independent, and that'd be the poster person for it. Wales, but anyway, as the Duke of Wellington said, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. And we go back to the polling data, and you can see it, that the Conservatives still have this lead. The strategy, I think, for the Conservatives at the moment is do nothing, say nothing. If the Conservatives just say, look, we're the Brexit party, you know the brand, okay? Right, we're not crazy, okay? We're just, yes, we're pro-business and we might seem a bit insensitive around the edges and all that, but we're not crazy. Just fold your arms, just let everybody else implode. So that would be my recommendation. Bit of culture, yeah, films specifically. And so this week saw the release of 2 films. One was a rebooted new version of the classic 70s TV series Charlie's Angels. Did you know? Did you know there was a new version of Charlie's Angels hit the cinema? Not many people know that because it has bombed. In its first week, it has absolutely tanked. It was trying to be all right on and woke and girl power and men, and it has died a death at the box office. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Charlie's Angels was first broadcast on television, and I'm going to divert here and talk a little bit about the history of female-led drama in the 1970s. Now, contrary to popular belief, it wasn't all war, women, bit of crumpet, oh yeah. There was that kind of end of it, but particularly in American television in the late 70s, there were a number of action drama, crime thrillers, as it were, that were female-led, had female protagonists. And audiences just accepted it. These shows were all hits. And everybody liked them. It was a time when people just sat down and watched television, and you had a female-led action crime show, and people watched it and really enjoyed it. And I'm talking about young people as well, because I was like between 8 and 12 back then, in those years, and I watched a lot of these shows. I really liked them. And watching repeats, they still hold up pretty well. So the shows that I'm thinking of, they had The Bionic Woman with Lindsay Wagner. So we got used to Lee Majors as the $6 Million Man. It was great. And then came The Bionic Woman in the guise of Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay Wagner was fantastic. She's wonderful. She's a really good actress, as well as, eye candy. But The Bionic Woman was really good. It was, okay, she's got the same bionic powers and she can biff and punch and all and leap and run really fast and all that. But there was something about Jamie Summers, the character. She was, I think she was more nuanced than Steve Austin. Bit wiser, bit more savvy sometimes than Steve Austin. Not so much the blunt instrument that he was. So The Bionic Woman was great. If you liked $6 Million Man, you liked Bionic Woman. You had Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. Again, fantastic, great. She was great looking. But the character Wonder Woman was really good. I mean, it was a late 70s TV budget to do superhero stuff, so they really... there wasn't that much that they did, that one. The action was serviceable, but she was personable. Nobody... thought twice about, okay, this is a Wonder Woman TV series. They accepted her in the way the audience accepted Adam West as Batman back in the 1960s. The Wonder Woman was almost the most successful live-action TV superhero show of the time, sort of predating the kind of Marvel Cinematic Universe and the effects that they do now. The really successful one was The Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby, but Wonder Woman was successful, ran for 3 seasons, still fondly remembered today. Who else did you have? You had Angie Dickinson as Policewoman. That was the more gritty one. That was the more adult one. That was the one that I wasn't allowed to watch. You can go to bed. Policewoman's a grown-up show. But that was a good show. I've watched repeats since then. And Angie Dickinson, again, she is well-established Hollywood actress from the 1950s onwards. When she did Policewoman, her star power was still there. She was doing still the old dodgy undercover work. Yeah, you have to go undercover in a kind of women's roller skating derby, or Pepper, you have to go undercover as a high class madam. So there was a bit of that, bit of the exploitation, but at the same time, she was the boss of that show. She was the boss. Everybody else followed her lead, and then of course there was Charlie's Angels. I was there with Charlie's Angels from the beginning. Hello, Angels. Hi, Charlie. And it was cute. I mean, they were good characters. They, yes, they were very girly. They looked like fashion models. I think 2 or 3 of them were fashion models of the Angels, but in real life. But they were still personable. They were clever. They were resourceful. Yes, and they were cute as well. I remember, when it, everybody, all the boys at the school I was at, they all liked Farrah Fawcett. All had crushes on her. But yeah, I was more a Cheryl Ladd fan. She was my favourite Angel, Cheryl Ladd. But yeah, these were great shows. They didn't have to. The women didn't have to be out and out raging feminists. They didn't have to pretend to be men to be effective. They were extremely feminine and effective at the same time. Something we've lost. I don't think it's real feminism if you take just the template for a male action hero and just cast an actress. I don't think that's real feminism. If you want a strong female character, you write it as a woman, and you then the situations and the circumstances and the plot and the things that happen to that character forge that character in the context of who they are. You don't take the template from something that they're not and then put it on them and think it will work. But hey, it's 2019. You can take the template of anything and drop it onto another, and if you say that's wrong, you're phobic of something. So anyway, Charlie's Angels bombed at the box office. But a film did very well at the box office this week. We're not talking about breaking box office records, but having a strong opening for what, in effect, is a niche film, and that is Ford v Ferrari, or Le Mans 66, as it's been retitled for the UK. I think Ford v Ferrari is a great title. Le Mans 66 isn't as good as title. I don't know why they've done it. But this is like a steak and potatoes film about motor racing in the 60s. Christian Bale and Matt Damon play real life characters, Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles, and it's all about the development of the Ford GT40 and how it competed in the sports car races of the 60s. And steak and potatoes, you know what you're getting with this. You're getting this kind of 2 underdog stories in one. Ford are not racers, and yet they're going up against Ferrari. And at the same time, Shelby and Ken Miles are kind of outsiders in the sporting motor racing community, and they've got to prove their worth. So you've got this kind of double underdog story, attention to period detail. It's an interesting story not many people have heard about. And it's 2 white guys racing Fords against Ferraris. And it's done well at the box office. It should be telling you something here. People just want a good, entertaining film. The thing is this is something about Matt Damon films, is that every so often he's in a film that absolutely is not the most profound film. It's not the film that Hollywood thinks it needs. It's the film the audience want. Okay, so Ford v Ferrari looks to be a success. The Martian was another good one. Invictus. He's not Francois Pina. Doesn't look anything like Francois Pina. He was Francois Pina. Ford v Ferrari. He doesn't look anything like the real Carroll Shelby, but he is Carroll Shelby. In this film, he does it well. He was perfect for The Martian, and these are the films people want. These are films that will entertain and inspire, and you just feel good about, I went to see this film and characters were put through the ringer and they came out, and I don't feel like I've been hit around the head with, any kind of heavy messages. There may be messages there, but they'll be subtle. They'll be interwoven with the story, and they'll feel natural and they'll feel organic, and it won't feel forced. So there you go, Hollywood. There's a lesson for you. We want more Fords v Ferraris, more Martians, more Invicti. But we need that. It's time I made a confession to you all. And this is a serious one. It's cropped up recently. It cropped up on the last Unpopular Opinions live stream. And I've mentioned it on Twitter. And I'm not proud of this confession, what I'm going to say, but here goes. There's just no other way of getting around it. And I think in terms of honesty, and you know how much I pride honesty, I need to share this with you. But female Labour MPs, or MPs on the left, have one nice physical feature about them. There, I've said it. It all started with Angela Rayner's hair. It's nice hair. She's got nice hair. I can't help it. I like her hair. Laura Pidcott's eyes, they're blue and they twinkle. I saw a picture of Jo Swinson and she was wearing these knee boots. And the boots look nice. I can't help it. Oh. Diane Abbott, though. But occasionally, you're going to get a lefty woman come along, a Caroline Flint, Lucinda Berger and her legs, Liz Kendall's legs, and they're going to throw you a curveball. Okay, there's just going to be one thing that you're going to like, and you're weak. You just can't. You can't resist. Okay, the hair, the Titian hair, and she has it styled nicely. I need to go and seek help in this. I need to just familiarise myself with just how nice Penny Mordaunt is. Good, solid conservative women. There are a lot of them out there. Yeah, it's bad. But anyway, I know when things get bad, and when I'm weak, I can always turn to my biscuit tin. You bloody bastards.